Today we are working on the Porsche 914 once again, and I'm really dark. That's more like it. So, back working on the Project 914. I've got a whole bunch of things that I sort of want to button up before I'm driving it. Essentially, all the cables and fuel lines and those sort of things are just dangling up underneath the car, and with the serpentine belt and timing belt sort of just spinning around in there and the exhaust and everything, I don't really want them just hanging out. I want to move them out of the way, zip tie them to the frame, to the tube frame and stuff, all that, so that they sort of stay where they're at and aren't rubbing on stuff. That's one of the main things that I've really wanted to get done before I wanted to drive this thing, because I'm afraid I'm just going to be driving it and it's like one of the axles is going to grab a shifter cable and just yank it off, and I'm going to have a really bad day. So I'm going to get that done. There's also wiring in the engine bay that needs tied up. There's a bunch of extra wires because I bought a pre-made loom. Pre-made. Essentially it was just a loom with like 30 wires on it from Mega Squirt with bare ends. But about 6 or 7 of those are unused in my setup, so I need to tuck those away somewhere. I also would like to clean up the wiring in general, cover it in some conduit, and tape it all up so that it looks pretty and it isn't wires hanging everywhere. So let's get started and let's get this stuff done. Is it weird that I want to put hood pins on the trunk because it's really nice to have it nice and open and to just be able to lift it up all the time? I think I may do that in the future. I actually would rather have them in the front than in the back than in the front. So did I say front? I'm confusing myself. I've got all this garbage in the trunk here though that's just built up, especially from me moving here. I haven't even cleaned everything out of it. So I'm going to clean out the trunk of everything so that it's clean, how it should be, and then we can get started on everything else. I wasn't recording and I said a bunch of stuff, but here's all the garbage I was talking about. By the way, if anyone needs a 914 starter, let me know. I still have mine left over. But yeah, I'm going to continue getting all the crap out of here. Some good stuff in here. Snap-on pry tool, tap, lots of like new stuff that I guess I forgot I had. Don't you love it when you bag a set of bolts, but it's been laying around for so long that the Sharpie wears off the plastic? There we go. Now she's looking like she did like a year ago when I painted the trunk. That was a long time ago. Finally though. I just got to clean up this garbage. I just wanted to start off with cleaning up the wiring. As you can see, like nothing is in conduit at all, so I wanted to change that and make it all just look a lot cleaner. So I've got some small conduit, some electrical tape to into that conduit, a bunch of tiny little zip ties, and some razor blades. Now, I was saying this harness had a bunch of extra wires. Here are those. The reason why it has so many extra wires is because I'm not running an idler control valve. There are just some spares on here as well, and something else. I think that's about it, besides coil outputs maybe, because this is only a 4-cylinder. I think that is everything. But I'm just going to try to tie this up and sort of hide it in the corner. But none of these should be seeing a voltage, so I should be able to get away with just sort of zip tying them up and hiding them away. So if you put electrical tape around the ends of the conduit, then it holds itself together and it won't slide back and forth on the wires, and it sort of cleans it all up. So I have most of the conduit and everything ran, but I'm going to bring you guys back once I have it all cleaned up and actually tied up to the firewall and everything, so just give me one moment. So I got all of it ran and the battery back in and everything. Here is a look at it. So before there was wires running everywhere and everything, now basically we just have sections of conduit running off. If I tilt the camera this way, let's see. Let's see if I can make it visible. Bear with me one moment. Alright, there we go. So, see the main harness is running along the firewall, and then there are just bits of wire that travel over to the engine itself. So it is way cleaner than it was. It could be tucked and clean and everything, but I want it to be where I can drop the engine in like a matter of minutes, essentially, and this way is easy. I just have to disconnect about 5 or 6 connectors, and the entire harness is off the engine. So now I'm going to jack the car up and start tying all those cables and stuff, like the shifter cables and the clutch cable, out of the way so that they're not getting hung up on the axles or dragging on belts or anything. So I got everything underneath sort of buttoned up. It didn't need much. It actually needed less than I previously thought. Let me show you guys. Basically everything, like clutch cables. Here is the wire for the wideband. Just zip tied to this frame. Eventually I want to get clips to where it can clip in, so I don't have to cut zip ties if I want to pull the engine. But for now this should be fine. It's all clear of the CV axles and everything. That was actually really simple. This is sort of like a mess back here with cables and fuel lines and stuff, just because we got 2 shifter cables, clutch cable, 2 e-brake cables, 2 fuel lines, we got a wideband wiring. What else? I think that's about it, besides brake lines. At one point there's a speedo cable too that went to the transmission, so lots of cables back here, but what can you do? That's sort of part of it, I guess. Well, it's been a couple minutes since I've been on video, but I'm out on the road in the Porsche. And there's some weird stuff going on. We'll see. Well, I took it down the street and it was doing this weird shuffling thing, so I don't really know what that is. I really hope it doesn't have anything to do with the scrub radius. If it does, then I'm in for some bad news. Hopefully that's not the problem though. It shouldn't be doing that on the street, but we'll see. I also only have half the bolts in for the rear cage. What do you call it? For the rear cradle, so it sort of shakes around a bit. I need to get the rest of those bolts in there. I just need to run to the hardware store and purchase them. I also keep on driving it with the e-brake on because I don't know if you know in this car, but the e-brake is right here next to the door, so I sort of forget to disengage it sometimes. But that's going to be all I have time to do on the 914 today. Make sure you like this video if you enjoyed it. This thing just gives me issues after issues, but I mean, I love looking at it. It just, oh, you cannot beat that here. I gotta get a thumbnail. Yeah, that's an okay thumbnail. I love looking at it, and it's getting closer and closer every day. I'm sort of trying to like not half-ass it and get everything done and looking clean before I start driving it a bunch on the road, just so that I don't have issues like wires getting caught up in the CV axles or something. You know what? I don't have the, what is the name of them? Roll pin. That's the name of them. I don't have the roll pins in the CV axle. That probably has something to do with some of the issues I was having. I didn't tell you guys all the issues, but I have a feeling that's part of it. So I should probably put those in there because those axles are sort of just moving back and forth on the splines. I need to remember that. I'll remember it because I'll be editing this tomorrow. But besides that, make sure to leave me a comment if you want to. Otherwise, subscribe for more if you enjoyed this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a good one. Peace.